Hello, seniors. I'm Mike Hayes. I'm the founder of the SeniorAIFoundation.org and the SeniorAIPodcast.com. I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce our AI collaborators because these are really the digital engines that are helping us bridge the gap between local impact, networking, etc., and global scale. Together, we're transforming how nonprofits grow and how seniors like me master the future of technology.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful nonprofit model.
So how can a local project actually win a $10,000 global grant? Let's dive in. It all comes down to this idea of micro-training hubs. It's a pretty brilliant model.
Think of it like this. It's a local, in-person class, but it's also broadcast live online.
And for grant providers, this is the best of both worlds. You get local impact and global reach.
Okay, so how do you build this? Let's start with your home base, for zero cost.
First things first, get your 501c3 status. That unlocks some amazing free resources. I mean, look at this. Zero rent, a professional space, and free Wi-Fi? It's a no-brainer. Exactly. This spot is your beta site. You perfect the recipe here, then you share it.
Now you need people. Let's see how Google Ads can fill both the physical and virtual seats.
For your local crowd, you run super targeted ads. Think a tiny radius around the cafe. Then, for your online audience, you go big with national ads to get people on Zoom. And on your website, you tie it all together with a simple paragraph. This part's crucial. You want to have all the key details right there. It shows Google you're the real deal.
So what makes this whole setup so grant-proof? Why does it work so well?
It's because this model is built to nail three key things Google absolutely loves to see.
Using a specific location, like Walnut Creek, makes your ads super relevant and cheaper.
Plus, every single Zoom signup is a conversion. This is proof your grant is actually working. And that brings us to the magic number, a really important one for Google Ad grants.
You have to keep a 5% click-through rate. Those local ads, they make this way easier.
It's all about keeping your grant account in good standing. This model is built to last.
So there you have it, the blueprint. The only question is, what are you going to build?
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really peeling back the layers on something fascinating. It's a specific, highly optimized strategic blueprint for scaling a nonprofit.
Right. And we're not just talking about a successful organization in a general sense. We are, dissecting a finely tuned machine.
A machine, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like it was engineered from the very beginning to satisfy the really rigorous demands of big grant providers.
Exactly. We're talking about maximizing efficiency with funding from sources like Google, specifically their ad grants program.
That's the critical distinction we're making today, isn't it? Our source material lays out a model that, well, it successfully punches that gap that so many nonprofits fall into.
The gap between tangible local impact and, on the other hand, scalable global reach. It's a huge problem.
It is. We're calling this the local to global hybrid nonprofit model.
And it's a really fascinating study in how you can integrate all these different pieces, operational logistics, strategic communications, and critically, grant compliance to create a sustainable growth engine.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Our mission today is pretty clear. We are going deep into the architecture of what the sources call micro-training hubs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, the listener, are interested in building a nonprofit or maybe just a community initiative that you want to scale rapidly and sustainably, this is, well, this blueprint shows how strategy is built into the DNA of the whole operation from day one.
And the core problem they're solving for, which is just so critical for getting that large institutional funding, is this idea of the best of both worlds.
Okay, best of both worlds. Unpack that for us.
Well, funders, whether they're private foundations or big tech companies like Google, they demand two things that often seem to be in conflict with each other. First, you have to prove hyper-local, tangible impact. You have to show you are solving a real immediate problem for a specific community.
Who's on the ground?
Exactly. But then second, you have to demonstrate broad public benefit. You need that scale to justify major spending, especially to comply with the rules for using, say, a full $10,000 a month Google ad grant.
And this hybrid solution is the answer. You run a local in-person thing, and you simultaneously broadcast it globally with something like Zoom.
It's the single stroke that solves both problems. It turns what looks like a small community meeting into a global distribution center that's also gathering evidence of its own success.
That's a great way to put it. So the hybrid model isn't just for convenience. It's not just, oh, let's put it on Zoom so more people can come.
No, not at all. It is a calculated, deliberate, strategic choice. It's designed to give you instantaneous data points that confirm both your impact, that's your local attendees, and your scope, which is your global attendees.
And that combination just maximizes your chances of getting the grant in the first place.
It does. And maybe more importantly, it helps you sustain long-term compliance with all the usage metrics you need to keep that funding coming in month after month.
So you're about to see how this whole system basically optimizes itself. It's this blend of really precise logistics, a very sophisticated grant strategy, and genuine community building. Okay, let's start where the sources start, with the language. They use this very specific, almost scientific terminology. It's a move away from typical nonprofit branding.
Totally. They aren't running a committee or a working group. They are running a lab.
And that framing feels absolutely intentional.
Oh, it is. It completely transforms the perception of their work. It goes from being a passion project to a scientific, repeatable process. And we really need to focus on 3 of these strategic names they use that define the model for funders.
Okay, so the first one is micro-training hubs. This is what they call the foundational engine of the whole sustainable, scalable model. What is that word micro? What does that communicate to a potential funder?
Micro is a promise. It's a promise of efficiency and resilience. It suggests, low overhead, low risk, and high portability.
Right. It's not intimidating.
Not at all. It instantly says to funders, we don't need $1 million for some huge headquarters. We build small, efficient nodes that are very, very easy to replicate.
On a hub.
A hub implies connection. It's about centralizing knowledge. It's a source of energy. It ensures that even though it's small, it's not isolated. It's a key part of a much larger network.
That distinction, small scale but part of a global network, that's really powerful.
Okay, next up we have the strategic geographical naming, the lab and the beta site.
Yes. The sources identify a specific place, Walnut Creek, as the critical location. This is their initial proof of concept environment.
And naming Walnut Creek the beta site, that's a pretty sophisticated communication move, isn't it?
It is. It manages expectations both for people inside the organization and for their partners outside. You're telling everyone that the immediate goal isn't massive scale right now.
The goal is to perfect the recipe.
Exactly. Perfect the recipe in a controlled, known environment first. This is where you define every single logistical detail, every training paragraph, every marketing keyword, and showing that you have this rigorous commitment to refinement, this sort of iterative cycle. That must be incredibly appealing to funders, especially the tech-focused ones.
Immensely appealing. They live and breathe that world.
But wait a minute. Isn't labeling it a beta site a bit risky? Doesn't that sort of communicate fragility? Or maybe a lack of commitment to the community that's relying on it? People want established programs, not experiments. How do they get around that perception?
That's a really crucial question. And they manage that perception by coupling the term beta site with hyperlocal, very tangible delivery. They're not communicating fragility, they're communicating rigor.
Okay, rigor, not fragility.
Yeah. Funders, especially the ones from the tech world, they understand that new models require iteration. So by calling it a beta site, what they're really saying is, we are committed to continuous improvement.
You're showing them the process.
You're showing them the steps of development, which builds so much more confidence than just showing up with what looks like a perfect but totally untested final product. It signals that you have feedback mechanisms built right in.
Which is a sign of a robust system, something designed for long-term survival.
Exactly. So it's all about demonstrating strategic maturity and a systematic approach to solving problems. It's the difference between saying, hey, we're helping people, and saying we are scientifically engineering the delivery of that help.
I like that. Scientifically engineering the delivery of help.
And that engineering is best demonstrated in the core structure of the event itself. The sources are very specific. They mandate a specific attendance ratio that defines the success of this whole model.
Right. It's 10 people in person. That's the core of the lab environment. And then 100 plus people tuning in via Zoom. That's the global community.
That 10 to 100 ratio is the entire operational blueprint compressed into a single number.
Okay, so let's break down the role of that intimate in-person group, the group of 10.
The 10 locals are your quality control. They are the immediate feedback mechanism. They're your lab rats in the most positive sense of the word.
Right.
This small group allows for immediate, really detailed testing and observation of the training methodology. Are the steps confusing? Is the pace too fast for them? Is the documentation clear?
So they're validating the training materials, the ingredients, as the source calls them.
They're validating them in a real-world, highly localized setting. I mean, if the recipe doesn't work for the 10 people you can look in the eye and talk to, it is definitely going to fail when you try to distribute it globally. They are that initial, tangible proof of impact that secures local buy-in.
So they validate the integrity of the product.
Right.
But if the 10 locals are for quality control, what is the strategic purpose of the 100 plus virtual attendees?
The 100 plus virtual attendees fulfill the primary grant compliance purpose. They are the proof of broad public benefit. So while the 10 locals satisfy that tangible local impact requirement, the 100 plus virtual participants instantly prove the scope, the scale that you need for large grant compliance.
And specifically, for using that big $10,000 monthly Google ad grant.
Exactly. You cannot justify spending $10,000 a month to advertise to just 10 people in Walnut Creek. It just doesn't work. You need that massive, demonstrable reach.
So this attendance split, 10 local, 100 plus global, it's the blueprint for a grant-winning operation because it satisfies both of those funder demands at the same time.
Simultaneously. It's built in.
So what happens if that ratio shifts? Like, what if they get 20 people to show up locally, which sounds great, but only 50 people on Zoom?
That would actually be a major strategic failure, even though the local turnout doubled.
Really? Why?
Well, first, if you get 20 locals, you've probably just exceeded the capacity of your operational model, which, as we're about to see, is based on a small community room. You're increasing your local operating costs. But more importantly, if you only get 50 virtual attendees, you are seriously risking losing the grant. That low number fails to prove sufficient scale or, efficient use of your ad budget.
So that 100 plus minimum for the virtual side is the threshold.
It's the threshold required to justify spending on high volume digital advertising. It
Wow.
makes the low overhead of the physical location worth the investment for the grantors. That 10 to 100 split is basically non-negotiable for sustainability.
Wow. So the goal isn't just impact. It's a very specific, balanced, measurable impact that directly feeds the funding mechanism.
Right. And once this ratio is proven stable and the teaching method is refined, then you can move to the next stage, replication.
And that's where we get the ingredients for replication.
Precisely. Once that recipe is perfected at the Walnut Creek beta site, the output isn't just a successful weekly meeting. The materials themselves, the training paragraphs and videos, they become these transferable assets, the ingredients.
Which means the methodology has to be standardized to an extreme degree. It has to be, almost idiot-proof.
It has to be standardized to a level of what they call in tech a minimum viable product, or MVP.
Let's define that, because that's some jargon we should probably clarify.
Sure. So the MVP is the version of a new product that lets a team collect the maximum amount of validated learning about customers with the least amount of effort. In this context, the MVP is the documentation package.
The training paragraphs and videos.
Yeah, and they have to be so clear, so modular, and so easily digestible that you need minimal interpretation to use them.
And these packaged ingredients are then handed off to seniors in other cities so they can start their own local chapters. That's a decentralized expansion model.
Yes, and that decentralization is what truly impresses funders like Google. It shows a clear, tested path to exponential growth without relying solely on the central organization's capacity.
Right. It proves the model is robust. It's not just dependent on the unique talents of the founding team.
Exactly. The funding organization isn't investing in one specific group of people. They're investing in a proven, franchisable system. And that de-risks the expansion strategy considerably, which is a major signal of long-term viability.
So the whole strategic foundation is about making replication as frictionless as possible through meticulous documentation that's been refined at the beta site.
Right. This systematic approach, it minimizes your reliance on institutional overhead, and it maximizes your focus on program delivery and documentation. It's just a really powerful combination.
And that focus on minimizing overhead, it leads us directly to this brilliant logistical solution laid out in the sources.
It really is brilliant.
To maintain this lab environment, which needs a consistent professional meeting space and high-quality broadcasting capabilities, they rely entirely on the $0 rent solution provided by the Capital One Cafe.
This is a masterstroke in operational efficiency. I mean, for a nonprofit, real estate is often the single biggest drain on resources. It just eats up the budget. The sources confirm that once you get your 501c3 status, your nonprofit status, you qualify to use the cafe's free community rooms. This immediately neutralizes costs for leases, utilities, insurance, maintenance, all of it.
That elimination of physical overhead is just massive. It means that the entirety of the grant money, especially that $10,000 Google ad grant, can be pointed directly at programming and, crucially, advertising to fill those virtual seats.
Right. None of the grant money is subsidizing rent, and that makes the nonprofit spending look exponentially more efficient in the eyes of any grantor you talk to.
It's the ultimate lean startup approach, but for the nonprofit space.
It is, but it's not just that the space is free, it's that the specific space is perfectly configured for what they need. We need to detail the cafe setup as a broadcasting studio.
Okay, so what specific resources does the Capital One Cafe offer that are just non-negotiable for running a high-quality hybrid event like this?
The sources point to 3 critical elements. First, free high-speed Wi-Fi. That is absolutely non-negotiable for streaming to 100 plus global participants. A choppy feed just kills your credibility.
Instantly.
Second, the semi-private rooms they have are often designed to seat around 6 to 10 people.
Which precisely matches the required in-person attendance for the lab.
It's a space tailored exactly to the strategic needs of the operation. You don't need any modification or customization.
So the actual architecture of the Capital One Cafe community rooms is fundamentally aligned with that 10-person lab size. It's a turnkey solution. You just walk in, set up your camera, and you're broadcasting.
Precisely. The cafe becomes your central broadcasting studio. It's clean, it's professional, it's a consistent environment. But now let's move beyond the financial and the technical advantages.
That's right, to the non-financial benefits, which are essential for securing the target demographic here, which is seniors.
Yes, and the sources emphasize 2 major non-financial benefits: the professional setting and its role as a safe third-party space.
So why is that concept of safety and neutrality so crucial when you're trying to introduce something like AI training to older adults?
Well, for many seniors, entering the world of modern technology, especially something that sounds as intimidating as AI, it requires a really high level of trust.
Of course.
So meeting in, say, a private home or a generic, maybe poorly maintained community center can trigger reluctance or social anxiety. But a nationally recognized financial institution like Capital One, it's bright, it's modern, it's secure, it's perceived as highly professional and neutral.
So you're leveraging the trust and familiarity of a major brand to build confidence in your new innovative program.
Absolutely. It mitigates that inherent nervousness that comes with learning new technology from strangers. It's an instant credibility boost that you're getting directly from your partner's reputation.
And that recruitment advantage has to be really powerful. But using the space relies on a continuing relationship, which brings us to the final strategic step here, the Capital One Cafe pitch deck. So the sources recommend creating a formal presentation, maybe something high impact, using a tool like Gamma, to formally show the nonprofit's value and its commitment to bringing positive community energy to the space. Why is that necessary? I mean, aren't they already qualified for the free room?
They are qualified, sure, but qualification is transactional. A pitch deck transforms that transaction into a sustainable, mutually beneficial partnership.
Okay.
The nonprofit has to answer the bank manager's fundamental question, which is, what is in this for Capital One? And positive community energy is just a placeholder for specific, measurable business deliverables.
Right. So let's go deep into the bank's perspective. What business metrics does a cafe manager actually care about that this nonprofit can deliver on?
Well, a bank cafe manager cares deeply about a few things. Foot traffic, especially during typically slow hours. And critically, the brand halo effect. So if the nonprofit hosts their training every Tuesday afternoon, a common slow time, they are bringing 10 reliable, older, potentially affluent customers into that cafe. And those people are then highly visible to the rest of the community.
So the pitch deck needs to quantify this.
It has to.
So the pitch deck might not just say, we train seniors in AI. It might say, we guarantee that 10 high-value potential customers and their guests will occupy your community room during the 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. weekday lull. This will boost your secondary product sales, coffee, snacks, and it demonstrates your commitment to local technological literacy.
Precisely. You are offering reliable, positive association, foot traffic, and media visibility in return for a zero-cost operational base.
And if the cafe ever has to reevaluate its free community room policy, maybe because of budget cuts or just increased demand,
the nonprofit with the documented pitch deck demonstrating measurable business value will be prioritized over some other group that just used the space because they happen to qualify.
So the pitch deck is the ultimate long-term constraint mitigation tool. It's what ensures the $0 rent solution is sustainable.
It's phenomenal foresight. It moves the conversation from, can we please use your room, to, we are a strategic partner in your community outreach efforts.
And it creates a sticky relationship. The Capital One Cafe becomes indispensable to the nonprofit's budget, and the nonprofit becomes an indispensable asset to the cafe's community branding goals.
And that proactive demonstration of partnership value is foundational. So if you, the listener, plan to replicate this model, finding a location that provides not just free space, but also that mutual business synergy, that is the single hardest logistical challenge you will face.
And the beauty of this whole system is how it all connects. The professional, high-credibility environment directly supports the hybrid broadcast quality,
which is essential for the 100-plus virtual attendees.
One strategic decision supports the entire operational and funding structure.
It's a highly integrated system. By neutralizing their real estate overhead, they ensure that all their resources and energy are focused entirely on the product and, critically, on maximizing the utility of the grant funding we're about to discuss.
Okay, so moving from the operational logistics to the core product itself, the curriculum, and just as important, how it's communicated to the audience. The communication strategy has to be as meticulously crafted as the logistics.
The training itself is identified as senior AI training, and the sources are specific. They focus on contemporary Google tools, Gemini and Notebook LM. Why that deliberate choice of specific tools instead of just a broad, what is AI overview?
Specificity demonstrates relevance and depth, and that really appeals to tech-focused grantors. But for the senior demographic, abstract AI is just intimidating.
Right.
So focusing on specific contemporary tools like Gemini, which is for generative text, and Notebook LM, which is great for organizing research and notes, offers immediate practical utility.
So it moves seniors beyond just basic digital literacy into actually applying generative AI. Exactly. It offers a very high-value proposition. It makes the abstract concept of AI accessible and immediately useful in their daily lives. You know, things like organizing family histories or managing notes for a community group.
And the training environment itself is promised to be supportive. Small group, a place where no question is too small.
And that is the necessary human component for those 10 lab participants. It ensures they feel comfortable enough to provide that honest, critical feedback on the recipe.
Right, the psychological safety is key.
Absolutely. The promise of a non-judgmental, intimate learning environment is really the magnetic force that attracts that crucial local group of 10. And this focus on a supportive environment is immediately evident in their marketing language.
Okay, let's analyze the website language, because it has to do two jobs at once, right? It has to perform a marketing function and a grant compliance function.
Yes, and they use the thematic language built around these really evocative metaphors. Safe weekly kitchen, AI kitchen prep session, and virtual banquet.
A kitchen. That's interesting.
It's an expert communication strategy. It's designed to overcome two huge barriers: technological intimidation and social reluctance. By labeling the environment a kitchen, they instantly evoke familiarity and warmth and collaboration.
Right, a kitchen is where everyone gathers, where you prepare things together.
It's an analogy that humanizes the abstract concept of AI.
I see the power of the metaphor, but let me challenge that a bit. Isn't calling it a kitchen slightly condescending to an audience of, educated seniors. How do they maintain credibility while using such approachable language?
That's a fair challenge. And they maintain that credibility by balancing the metaphor with the explicit mention of the high-tech tools Gemini and Notebook LM.
Oh, okay.
The AI kitchen prep session for the local 10 suggests serious, focused, hands-on work. It's the intimate learning required for refinement. It's practical, not patronizing.
And the virtual banquet?
The virtual banquet for the 100-plus Zoom attendees suggests they're receiving the final refined product, the outcome of all that preparatory work. And the use of the word safety right up front in all capital letters that reinforces the non-judgmental atmosphere they're promising. It directly addresses the key anxiety factor for that demographic.
So it's an elegant solution. The metaphor attracts them, and the actual content sustains them.
Exactly.
The website language also immediately satisfies a grant requirement through location specificity. It explicitly names the source, live from Walnut Creek, California, at the Capital One Cafe.
And this anchors the entire operation. It provides the tangible local impact that funders require, and it establishes the geolocation that's necessary for the highly efficient ad targeting strategy we'll get to next.
So the website isn't just a marketing page, it's basically a compliance document. It confirms a real-world, verifiable address of activity.
Yes. And finally, the communication structure provides these very clear dual registration paths.
2 different buttons.
This is absolutely critical for both operational management and conversion tracking. They have to offer 2 distinct, trackable call to actions. First, register for an in-person seat.
For the 10 coveted spots, managing the limited supply of the lab.
Right. And then get the Zoom link for the virtual banquet. This is for the 100-plus global spots, and it proves broad demand.
So why is the separation and the tracking of these 2 links so foundational to the model's success?
Because these distinct links are the mechanisms that allow the organization to track conversions.
And conversions is the high-stakes metric required by Google ad grants.
It is. A click on that Zoom registration link is a measurable, trackable data point. It proves high-value engagement and effective use of the digital advertising grant.
So they're turning every part of the user experience into a quantifiable compliance metric that's ready for a funder to review.
Yes. The separation allows them to prioritize high-volume compliance, that's the Zoom link, while still managing high-quality testing with the in-person group.
So the language and the structure of the website are designed to maximize both the conversion rate and their accountability. They're thinking like digital marketers who are serving a philanthropic goal.
Precisely. They've successfully bridged that gap between community goodwill and, the hard requirements of data science. The thematic language attracts the audience, the location specificity anchors the impact, and those dual registration paths provide the precise, measurable conversions needed to justify continued large-scale funding.
Okay, we've built the lean operational core and the compelling product.
Yeah.
Now for the fuel. The $10,000 grant mechanism from Google Ad Grants. This funding is what allows a tiny micro-training hub to instantly achieve global reach.
Right. This grant offers up to $10,000 per month in in-kind search advertising credits, and the strategy outlined in the sources is so sophisticated because it recognizes a central constraint of this grant, which is that these ads have to simultaneously fill the physical room, that highly specific local target, and the virtual space, which is the massive global target, all just to ensure compliance. You have to use the money broadly, but you have to prove your impact locally.
Yeah, and they address this challenge with a really rigorous dual audience ad targeting strategy. So let's start with the local ads.
Okay, so the local targeting is all about filling those 10 lab spots. They use hyper-specific keywords, something like senior AI training in Walnut Creek, join us at Capital One Cafe.
And these ads target a really tight radius, right? Like 10 miles around the beta site.
Exactly. This is an exercise in extreme relevance.
And what about the national ads? The ones targeting the 100-plus virtual audience?
These use much broader keywords, something like free senior AI training, join our live Zoom kitchen from anywhere. And these are targeting seniors across the entire U.S.
And this is the mechanism for demonstrating that broad public benefit.
It is, and crucially, it's the only way to effectively consume that $10,000 monthly budget. If you only targeted Walnut Creek, you'd never spend 10 grand, and Google would just reduce the grant.
So this strategic split is the foundation. But the true genius, as the sources lay it out, is in why this works for the grant. This is the deep dive into compliance.
This is where the strategy really optimizes the efficiency of the grant money itself.
Okay, so the first key mechanism is the geo-targeting advantage.
Yes. The sources highlight that Google's algorithm rewards specificity. It views location-specific terms as highly relevant signals. So having Walnut Creek and Capital One Cafe in the ad keywords dramatically increases the ad's quality score.
Okay, let's stop and explain quality score for our listener. Why is this technical term so important here?
Quality score is Google's rating, from 1 to 10, of the relevance and quality of your keywords, your ads, and your landing pages. A high-quality score, which this hyper-specific local targeting ensures, means Google sees your ad as highly relevant to what the person is searching for.
And here's the crucial consequence for a grant holder.
The higher your quality score, the less you actually pay, or in this case, consume from the $10,000 in-kind grant for the same ad placement. Google literally rewards the nonprofit by giving them more clicks for the same budget in that local market.
So it maximizes the efficiency of the local spend.
Yes, which allows more of the total budget to be focused on the broader, more expensive national campaigns.
Wow. So the high relevance in Walnut Creek isn't just about finding 10 people to show up. It's a cost efficiency mechanism that optimizes the entire account's performance. They're engineering a low cost per click right where they need the most detailed, high quality engagement.
That's precisely right. So next, we have to address the required performance tracking, which is done through conversion tracking. The sources are unambiguous about this. A conversion is specifically counted when a senior clicks the register for Zoom link.
Okay, so why is the Zoom registration the ultimate conversion metric? Why not just say a visit to the landing page?
Because a simple page visit is a low-value action. A Zoom registration proves intentional engagement. The senior has actively decided they want to participate in the virtual banquet.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment. And this high-value conversion is the critical data point that demonstrates sufficient scale and effective use of the grant to the funder. The nonprofit is essentially reporting back. We spent X amount of your grant, and that resulted in Y number of committed participants.
So they're prioritizing the metric that proves broad public benefit and justifies spending the maximum amount. But here's the most technically challenging part, the high CTR requirement.
This is the big one.
Google requires grant holders to maintain a high click-through rate specifically, staying above a 5% minimum across their entire account. If they drop below this, they risk losing the grant entirely.
And maintaining 5% across a broad national campaign is notoriously difficult. National ads, just by their nature, are less specific and they often have lower click rates.
Which is where the local strategy acts as the indispensable safeguard, the compliance ballast, as the sources call it.
The ballast, yes.
Tell us more about this ballast mechanism. How exactly do those local Walnut Creek ads ensure the survival of the entire $10,000 grant?
Well, local events, especially those tied to a physical address like the Capital One Cafe, generate extremely high relevance. The search query is so specific, AI training in Walnut Creek, that an ad targeting that exact phrase will perform exceptionally well.
So you're talking a CTR of what, 10%, 15%?
Or even higher, yeah. So while your necessary national ads might be performing a little below par, maybe at 3% or 4% CTR,
those hyper-efficient local ads, which are already cheaper to run because of the high-quality score, they act as a weighted average.
They pull the overall account CTR back up above that critical 5% threshold that Google requires.
So the local microtraining hub in Walnut Creek isn't just a testing ground. It is a sophisticated compliance mechanism.
It is. Its high CTR performance is what ensures the organization maintains its eligibility for the entire $10,000 in funding, which is what fuels the national expansion. If that local engagement failed, the entire grant mechanism would be jeopardized.
Because the compliance ballast would be gone.
It would be lost. And this is the profound implication of integrating the operational blueprint with the funding strategy.
This realization is where the blueprint moves from just being, smart operations to being genius strategic design. Every single piece supports the compliance structure.
It's a perfect interconnected loop.
The zero-cost physical location enables the cheap, high-performing local ad campaign,
which protects the more expensive national ad campaign,
which justifies the $10,000 grant expenditure.
It's treating the nonprofit as a highly refined digital marketing apparatus. They're focused on hard data points, quality scores, conversions, CTRs, to prove their efficacy, not just relying on, general qualitative assessments of doing good deeds.
And the sophisticated data-driven operation is what allows them to scale so rapidly and sustainably. They've truly mastered using the system to its maximum legal limit.
Right. This blueprint demystifies the complexity of leveraging these large digital grants while still maintaining that necessary local footprint. The local spot isn't a drag on your resources. It is the crucial engine for compliance and for funding longevity.
So to synthesize all this, what we're really seeing in this model is a complete, powerful synergy. We have the $0 operational cost, which is secured by that leveraged partnership with Capital One Cafe,
combined with an optimized Google grant strategy that turns that local presence into a crucial compliance safeguard.
And the result is a financially sound, very lean model that's designed for maximum scalability and measurable impact right from day one.
They've proactively solved the twin hurdles of overhead costs and grant compliance before they even, hit the ground running.
And what really stands out here for you, the learner, is understanding that the choice of a physical location is never just about convenience. In this blueprint, the choice of the Capital One Cafe is a genius tactical move.
It allows the organization to focus 100% of its resources and energy on programming and those high-value compliance metrics, which fundamentally changes the economics of scaling a nonprofit.
The Walnut Creek beta site is simultaneously the product development engine, the replication template generator, and the indispensable financial insurance policy for that $10,000 monthly grant.
And now for a final provocative thought that builds on our analysis of the partnership. We've established that the long-term viability of this entire brilliant model hinges completely on that Capital One Cafe partnership staying intact.
Right. If the location is the secret ingredient, we need to go back to that question of the pitch deck. The sources mentioned demonstrating value and positive community energy.
But we need to go deeper. We briefly touched on, foot traffic during slow hours, but to be truly irreplaceable, what specific, non-obvious elements of value must the nonprofit provide to ensure the cafe manager views this micro-training hub not just as a nice thing, but as a non-negotiable asset, a permanent fixture?
That's a great question.
The question for you to mull over is this. If the cafe is a financial institution, does the value proposition need to include providing a measurable pipeline of future clients, maybe highly rated seniors who then open new checking accounts?
Or perhaps providing specific data about community demographics and needs that the bank itself is struggling to capture?
Exactly. The blueprint ensures the nonprofit solves a problem for the community. But the ultimate long-term constraint is ensuring the nonprofit solves an ongoing quantifiable business problem for the partner who provides its foundation.
That is the true key to replicating this $0 model successfully.
Understanding your partner's underlying business needs and proactively building your nonprofit's existence into the solution for those needs, that's the next level of strategic thinking.
We've explored how to build the scalable blueprint. The real challenge is securing that foundation indefinitely. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mechanics of the local to global hybrid nonprofit model.
Until next time, remember that the most successful systems are those where every single component, no matter how small, contributes directly to maximizing the overall strategic outcome. Keep digging into the details.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. The future of community impact is here. It's scalable, so I hope you'll join our mission and stay ahead of the curve. You can simply visit the AIfoundation.org right now. You can subscribe for free for ongoing education on the go right in your inbox. So let's build something that is great together, and I look forward to working with you. I'm Mike Hayes.